Thank you very much, Rod, for that incredible summary of what I've been trying to do for these last years, although I haven't lived up yet to the Comedy Store one. My family keeps telling me I should stay away from it as much as possible. But thank you so much. It's indeed a great honor, especially following in the footsteps of Arno Metulsky, a true giant in the field. This award celebrates my 56th year in genetics. I was 17 years old as a college sophomore. I entered a new honors program in genetics at McGill. All I wanted to do was find a way to get into med school. I started to work for Clark Fraser, filing reprints and helping with his cleft lip and palate mouse work. Every morning I would examine several hundred mice for vaginal plugs to time their gestation. I was certain I'd be a hit in What's My Line. However, I soon learned that I like human bottoms better than mouse bottoms. And it's no wonder I didn't go into OBGYN. Clark taught me about the joys of research and how to think critically. I was accepted to McGill Medical School. He arranged a new program where I could do a master's degree over the summers of med school and worked on the genetics of epilepsy with the matracuses. The giants in medical genetics at that time were primarily internists, Victor McCusick, Arno Metulsky, and Jim Neal. I chose to do my residency in medicine. At Victor McCusick's invitation, I went to complete my residency at Johns Hopkins and realized what a wonderful place it is. Victor had just started a PhD program in human genetics, and I was able to pursue a fellowship and receive a PhD in 3 years. Just ahead of me in the program was Alan Emery, and a decade later we met in the Hotel Russia in Moscow and formulated plans for principles and practice of medical genetics. The 6th edition, which will be a multimedia publication, is now in the planning stages. As a medical resident, I was intrigued by endocrinology and became convinced that diabetes mellitus was not a single disease, but a symptom complex due to many different genetic and environmental causes. One approach to this problem was to study diabetes in different ethnic groups. I joined my classmate Jack Psyche, who was here, to study diabetes in the Navajo and compare it to the Amish. This hypothesis led to the receipt of the American Diabetes Association's Essay Award and set the stage for Jerry Rotter's later studies of the genetics of common disease. Victor taught me the power of clinical research and the value of studying rare diseases to prove basic biological principles. And while I was a resident and fellow in genetics, I came across this woman who looked all the world like a pituitary dwarf, but she was not hypogonadal and had a child. We did not know at that time that you could have growth hormone deficiency without having gonadotropin deficiency, and my colleagues at Hopkins and I documented that, and we went on and proved that a lot of these genetic aspects of growth hormone deficiency existed. These patients reminded me of the National Geographic pictures I had seen of pygmies, and Victor contacted Luca Cavalli-Schwartz, who was doing population genetic studies in the Central African Republic. I joined Luca's team on 3 occasions, and we showed the pygmies were resistant to growth hormone, or IGF-1. My daughter Annie is an epidemiologist who is presently studying monkeypox in the Congo, and she plans to collect pygmy DNA so that we can now search for their molecular defect. When I would go to LPA meetings looking for more growth hormone deficient dwarfs, the disproportionate dwarfs complained that I was ignoring them. I realized how little was known about their biology and gradually switched my interests. I then went to University in St. Louis, where I could jumpstart my independent research career and started the International Skeletal Dysplasia Registry, which still provides samples for our molecular research more than 40 years later. Soon realized I wanted to develop my own genetics program, and after looking at traditional university settings, I ended up choosing Harbor General Hospital, a county hospital with World War II barracks converted into labs. I received an R01 for my skeletal dysplasia work, and the NIH support for this project has lasted for 40 years. I was fortunate to recruit Mike Kabak and helped him start the TASAX program. We were able to Shanghai Larry Shapiro on his way to St. Louis from the NIH, and he became a faculty member as well. And Jerry Rotter, one of our fellows, joined the faculty. My first national leadership position was as a National Secretary-Treasurer of the American Federation of Clinical Research. I helped run the meetings in Atlantic City each year. I was then elected president of the Western Society for Clinical Research, and then 20 years later became president of the Western Society for Pediatric Research. In the late 70s, Arno Metulsky, then ACMG president, asked me to form a committee to look into credentialing medical geneticists and accrediting training programs. I was able to put together a committee of the giants in the field, and we created the American Board of Medical Genetics. Since the ABMS was not accepting any new boards at the time, we hired the National Board of Medical Examiners to administer the exam. We asked the new ACMG diplomats whether the original board members could be grandfathered in, and much to our dismay, they voted no, so almost all of us took the next exam. I spent a year as president of the ASAG, and at that time I moved across town to Cedars-Sinai, which Rodney told you about, and we formed the Intercampus Medical Genetics Training Program. Turn of the decade, I was asked by the ASAG to form a clinically oriented organization, and this is what happened. Laboratory directors were feeling disenfranchised at that time, were planning to form their own guild, and I assembled a group of leaders in the field. With the help of Mike Watson, we drafted a constitution for the ACMG and its foundation, making the college equally responsive to the needs of clinicians and lab people. We applied for membership in the Council of Medical Specialty Societies and became the 24th recognized medical specialty. It's interesting to look at this meeting now and realize that when we started this in 1991, the first meeting was held in Orlando with the March of Dimes. I think we had about 250 people there. So now we move on to the ACMG Foundation, which raises funds for this organization. Rod has done a splendid job in doing that, and getting Mike Watson to become the executive director and CEO has really made this a tremendous organization. So what are the lessons I've learned over these 50-plus years in medical genetics? They are: choose the right mentors, never let specialty boundaries deter you. If your original plan doesn't work out, immediately bounce back and take the next fork in the road. Set your sights high. If you don't aim for the sun, you'll never reach the moon. Treat your students and staff with respect, and they'll be glad to help you attain your goals. Choose the best people to work with. Hope that they all outshine you, and then you can take credit for the integrated finished product. If you just keep your eyes open, you'll discover numerous potential clinical research projects. Nothing stays the same. Don't try to preserve the old tried and true methods, but let someone else take them over and shoot for the next level. And most of all, be lucky in love. Cherish and take pride in your spouse and children, and don't let your job or ambitions interfere with a happy family life. This award is a great honor, and I have many persons to thank: my mentors, Clark Fraser and Victor McCusick, my friend and partner, Mike Kabak, the many people who helped me form the board in college, especially Mike Watson, my PPMG co-editors, Reed Puritz and Bruce Korf, my institute co-director, Jerry Rotter, and my skeletal dysplasia team, including Dan Cohn, Bill Wilcox, and Debbie Krakow, who have all kept me from becoming a dinosaur, and especially my children and my wonderful wife, Anne, who is clearly the wind beneath my wings. Thank you so much.